Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and raiders of all ages, to another installment of the Roundtable. If you missed any previous episodes, simply scroll down and select from any of the previous topics that we've discussed of your favorite with your favorite content creators. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and be up to date with the Roundtable meetings every week. If you have any questions that were not answered or simply want to recommend any content creator that you would want to join us in the upcoming episodes, just drop a comment below. Of course, thank you all you viewers for being here with us today. Um, and hanging out with us here on Twitch. Um, if you don't know who I am, I'm Ace Gonzo, and this is Ace's place, of course, right? And I've been playing for about a year and a half now, mostly free to play. I did spend a little bit here and there, but nothing crazy. There is a few other content creators with me today that I would like to introduce you to. Starting off with ArcticLuna, that disappeared on me. So give me 1 second here. Here we go. ArcticLuna, if you could introduce yourself to chat and YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm ArcticLuna, or just Luna is fine. I've been playing Raid for about almost a year now. I'd say like around 10 months. I'm quite far along in the game for the amount of time that I spent in the game. So I'm almost level 100. Or I'm basically level 100. In terms of progression, I've completed Faction Wars. I'm working on the last rotation of Doom Tower for hard. And yeah, I guess working on Hydra, Tag Team Arena, Classic Arena, kind of just focusing more on the PvP base and not as much on PvE. Or just like finishing off PvE, I guess. I've been streaming for also right around a year. However, I did start off streaming other games than Raid, and I've been streaming Raid for about 10 months now, so almost since like the very start, like around when I got into mid game, and I do spend a decent amount on Raid. Like I don't consider myself a whale, but I do spend, I don't know, around 200 to 300 a month. So I guess that just depends on what people consider whaling. But I do focus on buying energy packs and gem packs over any shards or other content, and I guess clan boss name or one key everything.
Is there any other games that you play?
Also, not on stream, no. I sometimes play some other games off stream, but it's games that my stream wouldn't really be interested in playing or in watching because they're just single player games, strategy games. So I have tried streaming some of those games on stream, and it just wasn't working out as well. So
Gotcha. All right, well, I got you a shout out there. And I'd also like to introduce you, and for the first time ever, guys, I got Eisen here with us today. First time ever face reveal. And Eisen, if you can introduce yourself to chat and to the YouTube world. Unmute, buddy, unmute. Eisen. Eisen, can you hear me, buddy? Hello. All right, we'll come back to Eisen. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to Madcapper, and I lost him as well.
The
There we go.
strong silent type. No, I'm here. This is
There we go.
amazing. The man of very few words. I think he said everything we all wanted to say in just a few moments. But I'm Madcapper. I've been playing the game for 3 years. I have been a whale in this game for quite some time. I either go full free to play. I have no half measures in my life, so either I spend lots or none. I go back and forth. So, other than that, I've been doing YouTube as well for about 2 years. I started out with the first unkillable comp on YouTube, shattering the whales who were keeping it all to themselves. That was my claim to fame. It was actually not a man-eater comp. It was a Sir Nick with Roshcard. And yeah, it's just kind of streaming every weekend, working my day job all week, and rinse, repeat. I do play a lot of other games. I don't typically stream a lot of other games. I have in the past streamed a few other games. So the funny thing about the raid community is they come in, and most of my viewers don't come here to watch raid. I mean, I do understand it. I have a pretty high level, pretty end game account, just shy of 19 million player power. So I'm pretty end game, but usually we're just there to shoot the shit, have a good time, have a good laugh. And yet I try to do that on other games, and people become less interested. I think raid has the ability to play passively so that you can interact better, whereas other games that you're playing, like first person, like you said, Arctic, is you're concentrating. There's moments when you have to concentrate on that, and so you kind of block out chat, and that's the biggest difference. And I think that's why a lot of people don't look at other games with us the same way. That's why other games sometimes like Ace do well, because they're very similar. But overall, just having a good time, and pleasure to be here for my first run at the new podcast.
All right, I appreciate you being here, sir, and definitely you're not a newbie to this fun stuff. But I believe we got Eisen ready now. So let's get him introduced here. I keep closing that out.
I could ask if you want me to get J-Gigs to do his voiceover. That might work really well.
That could work. Eisen, can you hear us, buddy? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Oh, we lost him. He's gonna come back on, I guess. There he goes.
Yo,
there we go.
First and foremost, thank you for having me. Thank you for all tuning in. Nice to meet everyone live. On Twitch, I'm known as KS Eisen. In-game, within Raid, I do go by Mugen and a lot of different names, actually. I've been playing for 2 years, and initially I was a casual F2P player, and it wasn't until CBC where I started playing competitively. I figured why not join a tier 6 clan? I can hear you guys.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Bruh. What's going on?
You're all good. I think you're reacting to about 5 minutes ago.
I should well, I don't know why Discord would be delayed.
Yeah, I'm unsure about that as well.
No, I think he was reacting to the comments because he didn't see him until.
Well, I still got everything on here.
Lag.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I mostly stream PvP content. A lot of CBC, arena mostly, basically. And I think that reflects the type of content that I do for takeovers. Yeah. From there, I do gear cleanses, 3 versus 3. And yeah, there's too much lag. There's too much lag here. That's weird.
Eisen, are you watching it through Twitch or are you watching it through Discord? We're offloading. Yeah.
I think he might be watching through this.
All right, Eisen. Much love, brother. We're gonna move to the round table, and we're gonna hang out there for a minute. We're gonna start talking topics. I'm trying to figure out how I can. I wonder if I can get him to. Well, I mean, he was listening just fine a minute ago through Discord, though. Unless he connected.
Yeah, never watch through the Twitch stream. The Twitch stream, I'd mute the Twitch stream and just watch it through Discord. If you can hear that, Eisen.
Discord.
Okay, so he's going through Discord, but why is it so laggy? All right. Well, let's go and hang out here at the round table where you can see all 4 of us, guys, and hopefully we can get Eisen up to par with everything. Can you hear me okay, Eisen? Yeah, it's still pretty laggy, I guess, on that side. Huh. Okay.
I've never seen that through Discord before.
That's just odd. But shoot.
Yeah, I've never.
It's just hard to make it work. But again, I apologize, guys, for any of the lag issues that you guys are experiencing on Twitch here. But we wanted to talk about the year of PvP, and we wanted to talk about the stuff that's been happening recently, with the Plat Arena just being broken, just trashed.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Are you coming in on Discord? All right. But the Plat Arena being broken and the way that it came out, basically they did some kind of update where the point system was making everything kind of flip-flopped, right? Like they changed something in the algorithm. They changed something to where you were losing more points than you were gaining, and it got to the point where even people that normally push Plat couldn't even get to the top tier. I believe the top points was 3750, and you were just tanked, right? But let's kind of dial back and talk about just what PvP is, or what being in the arena is, what that's even about in the game. And you can go ahead and start it off, Luna, if you'd like.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine. Let's go here. So if you want to start us off, Luna.
Sorry, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Just the breakdown of what PvP is about, or the classic arena.
Yeah, so I feel like right now, or with the issue that there was, I feel like well, even still at the moment, even though Plarium has said that they've fixed it, or they're working on fixing it, they seem to have said that they were going to fix it. At the moment, I feel like a lot of the plat players are, or the people that are supposed to be in plat, are just scattered all over Gold 4, Gold 5, and it's making like the current arena meta really difficult. As someone like myself was just more or less like, I usually hover around Gold 4, and I've been trying to now push more into arena, so trying to push into Gold 5, or yeah, push into plat. It's just extremely difficult at the moment because all the pages in arena that I'm seeing are just like plat pages, or at least Gold 5 pages, and I'm in Gold 4, like in the very bottom of Gold 4.
Let me
Yeah, while you're figuring out that, yeah, you chat a while. So
Yeah.
the problem that happened was Gold 5. So prior to Gold 5, if you wanted to push into Platinum, you had to get 3,800 points. But you started in a pool of people that were at 2,900 plus, which is a large pool. It's a huge pool. It gives you a chance to piggyback off the people that you're clearly stronger than, a Plat player. So you can push yourself up on Monday, and then by the time you get up into Plat, you have a whole host of people that are anywhere from 2,900 to 3,800, and it kind of sorts it out among tens of thousands of players, arguably even hundreds of thousands of players. The problem is when you added Gold 5, or when Plarium added Gold 5, they reduced the number of eligible farming accounts for these high-end accounts. And it happened over a series of times. So what happens is, so I could push plat. I've finished in plat, but it's 2 a.m. for me. I don't do it anymore. But I sit in Gold 5, so I am now the one that you have to farm, and I have a decent team. And there's not that kind of segue on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday where you can push these baby accounts, because if you think about it, I could attack someone who just got to Gold 4 to get the points, but they're also attacking other people that just got to Gold 4 to push themselves up. So everyone moved up together. In Gold 5, all you get is that 35 to 3,800 window until they fixed it or until they changed it. So that's such a small subsection of, I think it's 4,000 people. They have an actual cap of Gold 5 players. And so now if you have 3,500 points and there's 150 gap that you can attack, you can never gain enough points because everyone gains more points by killing you, and therefore you lose more points than you would gain by attacking someone else. Because everyone that's lower than you is, say, worth 4 to 8 points, but to all of them you're worth 12 points. So you attack, you gain between 4 and 8. You get attacked, you lose 12. And that was the math that just no longer worked because you didn't have this huge breadth. And they reset it and that's the reset that's what kills it, because you gain all these points, you get up there, and then you reset everyone back, but you don't reset everyone back to 2,900. So that's why it's broken. And their thought is if we lower the point totals down, then they're buying themselves time, because eventually it'll happen again. It just won't be as quick. And there'll be more people within shooting range when you're at 3,200 as opposed to 35 in Gold 5. So you should have a few more people to hit that are in the lower echelon as compared to a plat player. And then they also turned off defense losses for a day. Yesterday, past 5, you weren't actually losing points for losing in arena on your defense. but we just tested it today and they turned that off. So I don't know if they just did that for one day to get people's points up to artificially inflate it to have plat or what, but that's kind of where we're at now.
But PvP, the concept of PvP is just basically kind of like a way to compete, right? So players are competing on different levels, obviously based on the tier system, but there's different reasons why people compete, right? In my perspective, I mean, obviously every single one of you guys is just a lot higher than I am, and I'm basically at the 80% of the total player base, because technically I'm only playing for my Great Hall. I mean, Madcapper, you ended the year with a nice long intro of completing your Great Hall. I believe Eisen has completed his Great Hall 3 times, I think, or 2 times, or 2 different videos. I mean, 2 different accounts. Oh, we got you up to speed. Hell yeah.
Different accounts for Great Hall. Basically.
And I'm in the same place as you, Ace.
And that's basically 80% of the player base is we just want to go in here, compete at a certain level, and gain our tokens, and be able to complete our Great Hall in order to push on to the next level, which is tier 5 and plat, right? Eventually, right? Because it takes so much to get into plat. I mean, it takes first of all, skill base, right? You gotta have just a certain amount of skill base. You gotta understand, basically it's a big, you gotta understand what's going on and what you have versus what the opponent has, and kind of work at it as kind of like a chess game, right? And it's a kind of a quick chess game because you only have 4 players versus 4 players. But in order to compete at that level, either you need to have a certain skill set, you need to have your Great Hall maxed, even just to get into plat. You got to have the gear. You got to have specific champs. I mean, if you look at, like we were just talking about a little bit ago, just having those top echelon champs, you see page after page after page of. I mean, that's all there is at the end of the road, right? It's just what Duchess, Iffy, Rhodos, Necrit. I mean, I can go on, but you have these champs and you automatically get pushed up. Now you get a combination of all these and you're pretty much at the top 2% of the whole player base. But somebody like me and like Luna, we just want to farm to get our Great Hall. Like, that's really what it comes down to, in order to be able to do Doom Tower hard without having to suffer through specific gear stats, because we don't have that specific slot in our Great Hall maxed out. But the only way for you to even be able to get a decent amount of tokens per week is to be able to get to Gold 4, right? Gold 4 gives you the best bang for your buck, basically. So that's kind of my take on it, and I would love to hear your guys' take on any of that. What you guys think on the Great Hall development, or even what you think of the way that it's presented for players, like the 80% of the players, to be able to farm their Great Hall, or be able to gain tokens for their Great Hall.
If I can say, I completely agree with you, Gonzo, because for me, the reason I want to stay in Gold 4 and the reason why this was such a big deal for me, I guess, as a person, my Great Hall is really, really low. I'm still stuck on the Ramonto mission where you have to get 3 Great Hall bonuses to level 10. Like, I'm still really early in terms of days played on the account, on the game. Like, I've done a lot of content, but that's just through, I guess, spending and like having the luck of having good champions. But my gear is lacking, my Great Hall is lacking, and I'm just trying to farm tokens for my Great Hall, and like I have the champions, right? But even though I have the champions, I have a Duchess, I have a Kaimar, I have a Hegemon, right? I've got really good champions. I've got Cardiel. I'm still really struggling in Gold 4 because even though everyone else has the same champions that they have to push, because all of their, or not all, but most of the people that I'm facing against right now have their Great Halls maxed or close to maxed, a lot further than mine at least, and that puts me at a huge disadvantage. So it's for me it feels like it's the gear, but I know that it's about the Great Hall as well, and that makes it really tough for me because I'm just trying to be in Gold 4 so I can farm my Great Hall. Because in Gold 4 I can get uh, the most points for my Great Hall, and it what to go back to what Madcapper was saying, it feels like partly because of this change that they've made with adding Gold 5, basically Gold 4 is now the same as like Gold 3 or Gold 2 would be, right? So before, if you were in Gold 1, Gold 2, Gold 3, there was a really small gap between you and the next tier. And then once you get to Gold 4, that was like the safe haven just before Plat, right? Where you had a huge range of different people in a really big bracket of like points or what is that called? Arena Elo. Where it was just really easy to farm because you could just stay anywhere between there. Whereas now, where they've added Gold 5 in, they've added like another tier above it where people will, the people that were just in Gold 4 as well before, who have the Great Hall Max, who are not pushing Plat. And those people are sitting in Gold 5 now, and then being pushed out of Gold 5 and into Gold 4 at reset, which makes it really tough for the rest of us.
Right, and that's kind of like the
That's
whole
my opinion.
balancing of points, and that's it makes it harder for everybody else that's even in the lower tiers to try to farm any type of points because those higher players are getting pushed down.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone that's kind of farming in Gold 4 is now being pushed down into Gold 3, Gold 2, maybe even Gold 1, the same thing. The people that were higher up are all getting pushed down, and that makes it more difficult for anyone to go up.
Now,
I don't know. I feel like
yeah, go ahead.
Ace,
Yeah, go ahead.
regarding Grey Hall, right? I feel like the changes to the lower tiers should have been made as far as like the missions. It should have been made a long time ago, basically. And from there, if they're only making the changes now, it'll be easier for the lower tiers. Yeah, it'll be a lot easier for the lower tiers. But at the same time, Arena got harder to the point where everyone's slowly filtering down. Everyone is getting weeded out, and basically it's like survival of the fittest. Basically, the whales, the krakens, of course, will have the advantage. Mid game players that are still trying to get the gear will have the challenge, and I think everyone is just slowly filtering down to the tier that they belong, I guess you can say. Because there was a lot of phases throughout Arena where it got easy and then it got hard. And then bots came in, it got easy again, and they took it out, right? And now we're in the state of Arena where it's kind of balanced now, but still at the same time broken. Just because just the lower tiers are suffering basically, and they're not able to progress as much as the endgame players. So yeah, maximizing your Great Hall is not even enough. Like that's how I feel. I'm not. I have the champs. I don't have the gear, and I feel like maxing out the Great Hall is not enough. Nowadays, you gotta get faction wars, not faction wars, faction guardians, um,
Empowerment.
empowered champs, empowered nukers, everything to that like nature. So I think the changes to Arena is kind of good in a way, just because we know who's actually the elites, basically. It kind of recognizes the true, like, actual good players. You know, that's how I feel.
I'll let you chime in, Madcapper, before I say my 2 cents on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. To give you perspective, with Max Great Hall, I have a Foley. This is a perfect example. He's a second tier nuker. He's a good nuker, really good, but he's not Trunda. He's not Candy Phone. Uh, my Great Hall gives him an extra 300 attack plus 80 accuracy, which is just an add-on bonus. My Faction Guardians give him an extra 10 speed, an extra 30 accuracy, extra 30 resist, extra 148 attack. Those are the key stats. Empowerment, which is really the it's just adding, it's just piling on. His empowerment, because I have a +4 Foley, for better or worse, has an extra 600 attack, an extra 15 speed, 55 resistance, 55 accuracy. So my Foley in immunity is sitting at 7,000 attack at 231 speed, 304 crit damage. So I have what is a second tier nuker in normal world who is a top tier nuker in immunity simply because I could empower him. Now you transpose that to people who have +4 Trundas at 8k attack, and if they aren't, like, I have him in 231 speed because he's a specific counter. Normally you run your nuker a lot slower, especially if you have Kymar like I do. If I were running him 170 to 180 speed, I would have 350 crit damage, 9k. Like, it would be ridiculous. So it's like this, it's dogpiling. If you're sitting here and you're in silver and you're in that late game or mid game to late game, you're trying to transition and you're up against empowerment, you're up against faction guardians, and you're up against the Great Hall. I mean, forget the empowerment piece. That's still, the Great Hall is giving me 300 attack of that. So he goes from good to great, or great to next level, just from the Great Hall. And the fact that I can also have, by the way, 3k HP. He's got 44,000 health. He's not at 2,700 defense, and those are throwaway stats on the Foley. So how do you go up against that? And it sure, the missions are great, but if people think that Arbiter is going to solve their woes, they're sorely mistaken. Arbiter isn't the problem. I'm a free-to-play account. I'm running gold 2 with Alessandra because I can get the speed out of her, and I'm only giving up 6% off of base speed difference in aura. So it's not that big of a deal. But I will tell you that where I lose, it's because of the Great Hall. Or it's because of I mean, gold 2 empowerment isn't a huge deal. There's a couple +1s out there, not a lot, but it's the fact that I have 80 accuracy means how many champs do I no longer have to run down the accuracy masteries? I can run down defense masteries to make them more solid, right? Or I can do lots of attack, like down the offense tree, and take double of everything because I don't need that extra accuracy. Things like that people don't get. And to me, the easiest and simplest solutions, there were two, and they ignored both of them. Number one, make a token. Stop gold, silver, bronze arena tokens. That was great 3 years ago. Now make them all gold tokens. So in silver you can get 4 gold tokens. In gold you can get 5 gold tokens. So you get more, sure, but you're not being penalized for being in silver and trying to push your way through. And the second thing is, rather than making all these tiers, just say the top 500 points, no matter where they are in the world, are platinum. Instead of, you have to have this minimum 3,500. Why double gate it? Because then who cares what points you are? It doesn't matter what the point scale is. It's a true ladder. The top one's 2950. Then who cares? The next 500 below him, or 499 below him, and him are in platinum. And then you don't have to worry about the point creep or anything. It's just the top 500 players are the top 500 players. And keep it to gold 4 and don't put in the gold 5, because that just gates and creates this exclusionary process that limits the amount of points available to the pool. So those are my thoughts.
Basically, the answer that Polarium has given us has come down to whale harder and get good. That's basically it. They haven't given us any other options, especially like if you started the game just like now or even 6 months ago, good luck, buddy. Like there's just no way. And how long is it gonna be? Is it gonna be for anybody in that area to even try to push for plat? I mean, there's uh, I don't know. I really don't know where to go from that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if we're struggling now, how are they gonna? I mean, they're gonna just continue to struggle. And that, with that being said, guys, how many people have threatened to quit the game simply because arena is not fun? It's not enjoyable. Um, I mean, just losing. Wrong one. Uh, losing losing gives you, you know, it takes away from your points, and you can't gain anything, and you're not enjoying what you've worked hard to do. And especially as a progressional side of things, like you have to start what campaign first, right? You try to slowly push for arena, but then you start focusing on dungeons, and then you want to focus on clan boss, then you got to focus on faction wars, and now you have to do doom tower. Like, how many champions does that involve? But yet I have to have the top tier for, I mean, granted you can kind of multitask certain champions, but ideally you want to specifically tune certain champions a certain way in order to be at the higher end, right? So you have to build all these champions. So how long does that take? Just, you know, as a, I wouldn't say free to play, but, you know, mid to low spender, right? It still takes so much time just to try to farm the gear. It takes so much time just to try to develop every single champ. You could say it only takes 4 champs to try to push your arena, but granted, when people are pushing for arena, they have at least a minimum of 8 champs to be able to sub in and out. Um, Again, that's my perspective, guys. Feel free to chime in. You guys are more than welcome to.
I'd like to add. I agree with like the point of like, I guess like with the defense side of things, like with defensive arena, like both you, like if you put in the effort to, I mean, like even if it's not a defense team and you have your offense team as your defense team, I still think I agree that farming tokens for the Great Hall, sorry to bring it back again, like that's something that needs to be a lot easier. Because like even in your defense, if you win your defense battle, it's pushing you higher up, but you're not getting anything from it. You're just going to be against more difficult opponents if you win a defense battle in that sense, because you're just pushing yourself higher up, and you're not getting any tokens for it. I still think that they should add, even it doesn't have to be like that. If you win in offense, you gain 4 tokens. If you win in defense, you gain 1 token. You still gain something from it. That would just be like, it wouldn't have to be that you win the 4 tokens, right? You could just win 1 token, and you'd still gain something from having a decent defense in and from winning those defense battles. Whereas otherwise, you're only winning. You're only winning to then face more difficult opponents, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that's a good call out. Like, that would be ideal for the Polarium or for whoever to try to implement something in that sense to kind of give us a reward for having a decent defense, at least.
They worry about boosting is the problem with that. If I know that you're, you know, the thing, they worry about it, but the reality is it's very difficult in gold 4 and below to find the same person twice. So they worry about boosting, but in reality, boosting only happens in platinum, or happened in platinum when it was available, and they're not going to get any tokens anyway. They're already maxed out on their Great Hall. So I think it's a great idea that they'll probably slough off because they're too scared of making something too easy that doesn't make them money. But, unfortunately, and for champions, by the way, I use 28 champions. When I
28.
push plat, I just was counting 28,
Yeah.
fully max, min max as best I can, because there's so many different situations, and although there's probably on defense a meta of about 12 champions. What if they have immunity? What if they have counterattack? What if they have, if Kanderfon is in Swift Parry, and I know that, I'll fight him one way, but if he's in a counterattack set, I have to bring in a shield set to protect myself. Like, there's so many minor nuances to the same champion that you have to have so many different options.
Right, and that's exactly my point, is that you gotta have, all these different champs built in order to try to have a different variation of the sub in, sub out kind of thing. And that still involves all the different kinds of gear. That still involves even empowering them, just like Eisen said. They're still gonna get their money one way or another. They're gonna get their money. I just don't understand how it's so difficult for them to allow us to just, Great Hall is so, what is it, 3 years? 2019 now, right? 2020 now. That was the pinnacle of completion, and now it's being able to do Doom Tower, Hydra, everything else. So there's just so much to do in the game that they're not giving us something that can help us grow as far as progression.
Yeah, they'll always build content more difficult, assuming the power creep of the game, but they won't but most games give you easier ways to get to that. Like, there's a threshold, and if the threshold is 1.5 million player power on average for an account, it probably 2 years ago was 1 million. But there's no easier way to get to that 1.5 million than there was a year ago when it was 1 million. That's probably the biggest problem. That's Great Hall, that's gear, that's everything. Thankfully, the one thing they have done right is because they have so many events and tournaments, the amount of free energy you get today versus the amount of free energy you get 3 years ago is ridiculously inflated, which is good. But it proves that they're still making more money today than they did 3 years ago. So they've even proven themselves that they can make money when they give stuff out. They still make money, and yet they're blind to it, unfortunately.
Right. And as far as like your guys' strategies, is there, other than the speed meta, is there anything that you guys use to try to compete? Because obviously if you go first, you win, right? That's how I see it. That's how most of my fights turn out, and that's probably about 90% of the rest of the player base. And I'd like to know your guys' strategies, since you guys have been out there. You guys have different champs that maybe somebody else may have.
So, if I could start. So,
Sure.
for me, I definitely think that speed wins, and I don't know if that's changed now because the meta's changed and the teams I'm facing has changed or not, or just because of the champions I've acquired. But I used to always go with the speed race. Also, I guess having a hegemon, kind of gives me that advantage of, quote unquote, being able to win a speed race in offense, just by having him in there and having the versatility of choosing whether I use his A1 or his A2, and in that sense, then being able to win the speed race, or guaranteeing myself to win it, even if my arbiter is 10, 20, 30 speed slower than the enemies. But what I've realized now is, well, now I have a Duchess, so I've started using a lot more go second teams. Maybe it's also just because of the way that the players that I'm facing against now are more tanky teams. And I can use my go second team against an arbiter team and win 50 to 60% of the time. And I've realized that because that's the defense team that I put in is now different from my offense team, and I can just see in the defense team that I'm winning a lot, and I'm just I didn't know I could beat that with my go second team. So I've been using a lot my Duchess, with Cardiel, Hegemon, and then a Magnar. And I've been winning against teams that like I did not think I could win against, like Arbiter, Madame, maybe even Kaimar, and then like like maybe not a Foley, right? But even like a Trunda, I've been able to win somehow against, and I'm just kind of confused as to how I'm winning that. But yeah, I've been using a lot more Go Second teams recently than just the speed race.
I feel like I use multiple type of teams. Whether if it's against the speed meta or against tanky reaction teams. I do try use different type of teams with synergy against those teams. So like, let's say if I use a speed team, or no, I'm against a speed team, and I can use basically 3 to 4 different teams against a speed team, and actually either cut in or just tank out everything, and stall out. You could also cheese a speed team. There's also like different type of ways to attack different teams. I know previously, back then, before reaction, uh, it was a lot easier to use Kaimar and just double nuke everyone and easy peasy, right? Nowadays it's harder to verse those tanky teams. Those tanky teams with like triple reaction or stone skin. A lot of people have very different type of teams nowadays, and they became the meta. But there's always a counter to the meta. That's what I found out. There's always a counter to it. No defense is unbeatable. You can just find out different ways with gear, OP, reaction gear, stone skin, everything like that. Everything like the meta today, it matters now basically. Like the old generation of nuking teams with like Madame Ceres and everything like that. There's a lot of champs that was a part of the meta that's no longer the meta, and actually with gear you can actually make them the meta, or any champ of meta champ basically. I don't know. That's how I see it.
What's your go-to team, Eisen?
A lot of warlord teams basically. I do have 2 warlords, and one is a speed warlord and a stone skins warlord. So I have different type of teams that I can go with when it comes to it.
Okay. What about you, Capper?
My go-to team's still a speed team. It's when they say that speed meta is dead, is the old speed meta was exactly that. It was boost, debuff, crowd control, nuke, and it was rinse repeat. That's dead. That's gone. That's reaction gear, swift parry, stone skin, better gear, tankier champions, Ursuga, Necrit. That's gone. But it's now, what do you do with the speed? So in the old days, I'd have Arbiter as my fastest, and then I'd turn it into a Madame Ceres. I don't even have Madame Ceres built anymore, but I still use speed. I use Lysandra with Kaimar because now I'm going first, not to kill the other team, but to lock them out. I go Warlord. Well, I go Lysandra into Warlord into Kaimar into Nuke, and then I reset and I do it again, and 9 out of 10 times I win. But when you go to Plat, it's also a different world. Once you get into that top 500, then that doesn't even work. Then you have to look at survive and then counterattack. So then you're talking about Duchess, you're talking about mitigate damage. I have a 2 Ursuga, so I switch from just a tanky 110k Ursuga over to a stone skin Ursuga, so that I can it's just anything to stop them from killing me long enough that I can turn around and use whatever I have, like a Solus with reaction gear I have, or a Magnar if I'm going up against Canderfon, those sort of things. So I still think speed's important. People that say that speed doesn't matter anymore is like the US saying nukes don't matter anymore. Well, when you have the most nukes, of course it doesn't matter anymore. But if you're trying to fight and you're India and you have 3 nukes, it matters. It's a big deal. So to say it's dead is wrong. Otherwise, people wouldn't have 410 Siffis, which 415 I think I heard someone had now. I don't know.
Yep.
There's probably even higher now. It's ridiculous.
I think you might.
So
be
if speed meta was dead, okay, maybe. So if you have that, it's easy to say that the speed meta is dead. But the reality is, it's how you react to it, how you deal with it, and how like, hey, I can use an A1 control hedgie to counter the speed. I can use Valkyrie to counter the Sify. Those sort of things become more important. But it's still about speed. It's about now how do you deal with the speed if you're not fastest. And then that's why you need so many champions, because there's so many different. If it's not a nuke hedgie, do I bring in Riho because she can cleanse herself and then cleanse the team? But if it's a nuke hedgie, will she survive? Oh God, now I got to bring. So it's just all these different options that you have to use. It makes it more interesting on offense. I will tell you that. I think I like the arena now better than just nuke, rinse, repeat. But unfortunately, it makes defense have versus have-nots quite a bit. Because even if you have the best gear, it's still hard to really put up a solid defense if you don't have a handful of those marquee, the Necrits, the Candrafons, the Warlords. So Leorius is another huge one now. So It does make it a little bit harder on defense to survive. But I think for most of the player base that's not looking to push plat, speed meta is still probably have the speed meta, but no, come weekend, you're probably going to have to switch out to a second team.
Yeah, Ghost Second is probably ideal for most people trying to counter those speed metas, because that's all you're gonna get, especially going into Gold 3, guys. I kind of want to bring this up, but at the same time I don't, because it's basically the same thing, just tag team. I know we've all talked about it over and over again, and there's really no benefit to it, but if you guys want to talk about tag team, we could talk about tag team. Otherwise, we could just kind of talk about the pinnacle and try to guess to what it could be, and cross our fingers, and hopefully we get what we hope for, because honestly, we have no idea. Nobody knows what it is. I have my idea is that, as far as for those of you guys that don't know what the pinnacle is, it's we have classic arena here on the left, we have tag team right in the middle, and then right on the far side we have the pinnacle, which came out right at the release of Hydra, I believe is when this came out, and now apparent to us. And because this is the year of PvP, we believe that live arena is going to come into play, right? And so my belief is that it's going to be kind of like, if you guys are familiar with Pokemon Go, where you basically queued up, you chose your team, you queued up, and you try to go against somebody within a certain time frame. I believe it was like 2 to 3 minutes, something like that, and you either win, lost, or tied. That's my thought on how it possibly might work. What are your guys' thoughts? Did I lose you?
No, you're good. I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
guys up
hard
to
to. I think the war in Ukraine probably put a lot of that on the back burner. I don't know if we'll see. They wanted to concentrate on PvP this year, but I think they got waylaid, and now they're just worried about the fact that they don't have their highest spend country is no longer able to buy anything in the game. So I think they're in protection mode, to be honest. And some of the new features that they're still going to put stuff out because they don't want to look like they're dead, obviously. But I don't think you'll see a lot of the features they probably had planned make it in the same timetable. But it's got to be. The next evolution is live. Arena times 3 is it can be more strategically fun if it wasn't so time consuming because you think how long the average battle happens in arena sometimes once you get into those dogfights, and then you think you have to do that 3 times. So now you got to have 12 champions, and then you got to have 12 defensive champions, and they're not always the same. And then you think of all the swap-ins. If I have 20 champions I use in Classic, how many champions am I swapping in and out or willing to swap in and out for 3v3? I think that's the biggest problem with it, is it didn't add anything new or fresh to the, and it could have. And I think I would rather them wait till they have live or they have something that's fresh and original for arena, because my worry is that they'll just do something that's just a rinse repeat of Classic with another stupid spin on it. So I hope not, but I've been proven right too many times by playing him.
Right. What about you, Eisen? What do you think?
My thoughts on 3 versus 3.
The pinnacle on 3 versus 3?
Not much, just because I'm still working on that. You know what I mean? I feel like 3 versus 3 takes a lot of resources. And I don't know. Actual thoughts versus regarding 3 versus 3 is not much, actually.
What about the pinnacle? You got any ideas on what it could be?
No, I think everything is postponed, basically. Yeah, because of the war in Ukraine, I think events like that will be, on a back burner. And for now, we'll have these type of mild events, just like how Madcapper mentioned.
You were saying, Luna?
Yeah, still for tag team arena, because that's something that I've been working on now as well. That I'm almost done with the Doom Tower, so that's like the last. I guess like, other than Hydra, and the great, the classic arena because of the Great Hall, but tag team arena is also something I'm trying to push higher into at the moment. Like kind of like not yet completely committed to it, but just trying to get as high as I can or figure out where my like cap is, and as like having the champions that I do, because I'm very lucky, I have a very good amount of champions. I can easily build 3 teams that I could use in classic arena, and use just 3 teams, or again I have to swap in and out, as Madcapper was saying, certain champions for tag team arena, but it is very, very time consuming, and I find that there's a very big point just before you get to gold. So I had a really easy time getting through Silver 1. Silver 2 is super easy. Silver 3 is like a little bit is then like super difficult for some reason. But like Silver 2, I have no problem at all getting really far. So in the beginning of the week, I always put down my defense so I can grind all the tokens out, and then I've only just today put in my defense, but I have no worries at all that I'm not gonna make it into Silver 3. But then next week I'm gonna find it really challenging to stay even just in Silver 3. I can easily I'll probably drop out because my defense is just gonna lose. So I feel like there's a huge difference somehow for some reason between Silver 2 and Silver 3, almost like as much as getting into gold. I guess I don't really know how difficult gold is in tag team arena. I've never made it there. I've never even made it into Silver 4 in tag team arena. But it is something I've been trying to push, and it is just very time consuming.
From what I've seen, they only have. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, once you get into gold, from what I understand, is they just have single man defenses.
Yeah,
I feel like silver was more of a gauntlet versus gold. Once I got to gold 1, 2, and 3, it was basically it was easy to stay in the yellow or the green, basically, versus the gauntlet of 2, 3, and 4, where everyone has a solid defense the whole way. the whole week. And yeah, I basically had to go through that before going to gold. So it was a struggle in the lower tiers, just like how Classic Arena is, you know.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, so for me, I was saying for me, I don't really have that much time to play Raid because I do have a full-time job. So for me, like Raid is some like on work days, I leave the house at like 9 a.m. I get home like around 2 hours before reset. I don't really have that much time to play Raid, and for me to climb out of tag team or like climb out as in climb into gold, get past that threshold, that gauntlet, like it's really tough just because I don't have the time to even use all my keys. The 10 keys you get plus the 10 you get from finishing your advanced quest. I don't have the time to sit in tag team arena and do those on work days. If I have to actually think about the teams, as you said, everyone has a defense up. That's like really challenging, I guess. And I have to pick my teams. I have to pick who I'm fighting against. It takes so much time to actually do the battle. Sometimes I just like sometimes I'm like I know I can win this, but this is taking too much time. I'm just gonna skip the battle and then lose. And I just don't have the time to push myself out of there unless I take like a week of holiday and then use my holiday to push into gold. Like it just seems so ridiculous. So I'm at the moment I'm just complacent with the fact that I'm just gonna stay in silver 2 and silver 3 and until I get better gear or get further in classic arena so I can actually get my gear high or get my gear and my stats higher to compete with that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, shoot. Do you guys have any suggestions for any improvements for any of the PvP aspect of the game? I know we kind of mentioned a few along the way. If you guys just want to like recap any of that.
I think we should get better rewards for each tier, starting from Platinum, Gold 5, Gold 4. Better rewards for finishing in that tier. I think it would be more helpful.
I think they just need to stop stacking progress. So arena affects Great Hall. It affects your aura bonus, right? You get 20%, 22%, 25% in the upper echelons, and you keep going down. And you get, you get those two things combined with an account that's already an advanced count versus not. If you've been playing, even if you're free to play, if you've been playing longer, you have a better chance to have faction guardians. And so you're kind of dogpiling the same statistical bonuses on the same arena. So my thing would just be decouple the Great Hall from the level, right? So what I would love to see is, like I said before, is no matter what tier you're in, you should be able to get more than one, like 1,000 battles. If you're in gold, if you're in silver 4, it's less. I think it starts at 2. I think gold one's 2. So you need 500 battles to get 1,000 to go from 9 to 10. That is obscene to me. 3 years later, it was great back then when it made sense, but we got to move on from that. And I think they need to get rid of this tiered system and just say, look, Platinum Arena is the top 500 people in the game. It doesn't matter where they are, doesn't matter what their points are, just the top 500 at any given time. It's a pure ladder. There's no gating it, because again, double gating. The Plarium loves double gating things. They love the fact that like putting 50% chance to land a fear proc, it's double gating. 50% chance to land something that only procs 50% of the time. It breaks. It's a double RNG that just breaks that thing, and it's the same thing in arena. So, and then for tag team arena, it should be tag team arena. That would be neat if we actually had tag team arena, where I always thought hide 2 champions. So it's a 4-on-4, but one of your champions dies, a new one comes in and subbed, and you don't get to see what that is on offense or defense, right? That would be tag team arena. That's you're tagging someone in, right? Just something different with like it shouldn't be classic arena times 3. It should be its own unique entity, and I think that would and hopefully live arena out of the pinnacle at some point would be my
PvP.
Yeah.
Right.
something.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see it kind of separate from. I understand that top tier players have to compete, right? And I understand that there's some type of competition here, and just like I stated in the beginning, is I would like to see the progression side, like the whole Great Hall maxing out thing, be separate from the top echelon of the 2% of the player base. Like, I just want my Great Hall. Like, let me enjoy my PvE, and then when I'm ready to go into the PvP, then I can go, segue into that at some point. But for now, I just want, to be able to get all this stuff taken care of. But that's, how I feel about it. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure a lot of other players just want to get this nice and shiny gold, and it's kind of sad to see some still grayed out or brown because they just can't progress. But that's my feelings on that. I would like. I think that pretty much wraps it up. But go ahead, Luna. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I also think that they should. I agree with Madcapper on the fact that it's so difficult for people to catch up. Like I started playing, so actually I started playing the game more than 10 months ago, but I took a really long break from Raid. So I played for 1 or 2 months, like about 2 years ago, and then came back to the game, and I find it just so difficult because obviously it's a progression type game, but still there's just such a huge gap. Like I've completed my faction wars. I've done a lot of content that would put me at quote unquote late game or end game, but there's still such a huge gap between me and, for example, Madcapper or Eisen. Even though I've already completed quote unquote like the same amount of the PvE aspect, right? I've got a Spider 25 team, I've got a Fire Knight 25 team, I've got a Dragon 25, I'm working on my Ice Golem 25 just for the Vermont mission or whatever the mission. And I'm working on completing my Doom Tower, but there's still such a huge gap between me and endgame. I see endgame as such a distant part that's so difficult to get to. It's so difficult for me to catch up. And once I've reached where I've put that cap at, I'm still going to be so much further behind everyone else because they've had so much time. So let's say it's going to take me a year to get there to like the point where I consider myself at endgame, like which is for me finishing the Great Hall, right? That's like the only like part of PvE from the game, or like the only part that's progression that's not pushing in arena, pushing in PvE, which it still is because that's how you get your tokens. But that's going to be a year from now. So in a year from now, how much further is the gap going to be between me and Madcapper? Because he's going to have that whole year, and Eisen as well, to grind gear and to grind Hydra to get better gear. And then for me, Plat's going to be even more difficult to get to. It's going to be impossible for me to ever catch up. And that's like what I think they should really work on, is to get us to catch up more easily, and that's also would help if the Great Hall was easier to grind up. Just maybe even adding some sort of PvE. I don't know if that's something ridiculous to ask for. Some sort of PvE mode where you can grind tokens for the Great Hall. Or just reworking it in some sense, because a lot of people, they've completed their Great Hall, that's done. They don't have to worry about that anymore. But for me, that's still something in the distance, and it's just something. By the time I've caught up with that, I'm still so far behind. There's still going to be so much more I need to do, and even myself, I'm a spender. I spend on the game, right? I give players their money, but even for me, it's so difficult to catch up. So for free to play player to catch up to that is just impossible. Would be my opinion. So yeah.
So to summarize it, Plarium will always have a pay gap for all the top echelon players, and that's why they are at the 2% and we are.
But that's it's not just the pay gap. A lot of games. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's in so many games, they know the whales, and they allow the whales to whale and still allow the free to play, low spend, regular spend, whatever, to compete. When you think of Seven Deadly Sins, they have two arena modes. One's allows gear, and the gear there can be a gap, but it's diminishing returns, so you can catch up. The other one allows cosmetics only, which is the whale side. That's cosmetics give you stats in Seven Deadly Sins. So there's one arena that if you're not a spender, just don't play it. Get to the level you think you can get to, stay there, but you can still compete in the other side. Now, I'm not saying Seven Deadly Sins implemented it very well. They had some issues, but in theory, if you have a level playing field. I think of what's the one that Ash plays? Not Clash of Clans, the Clash Royale. Clash Royale in tournaments, everyone's level 9. So it doesn't matter how much you spend. You could be a level 15 with everything maxed out. When you play in a tournament, you're capped. So why don't they cap it here? I don't care if you have an 8K Trunda. Guess what? Cap is set at 6. Now figure out your teams, figure out your champions, and figure out ways to beat them, and have two different versions so that a free-to-play person can have endgame level of play without having to be an endgame spender, or have, like my 3 years over your 1 year. It's an unfair. It's not unfair. I mean, I played the game first, but you can't catch up. You won't, unless I stop. That's the only way you'll catch up. But you won't catch Mad or Anonymous, or there's so many people that are just you'll never catch up. And money won't help you either, because they're spending too. How are you gonna Boomer spending $60K? If I dropped $40,000 right now to even come close to his spend, I'd still be a little bit shy. I still wouldn't catch up, because it needs money, champions, and time, and so yeah, if you just started today, it's impossible. Yeah, and RNG, and the wonderful 3% on top.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Now, but also, I think they should do something about the medals. I forgot to mention, for the Great Hall, we stack a lot of medals, and we have a full Great Hall. And they should do something about that. I don't know if we can ask Plarium, maybe.
Yeah, Capper.
As
Get
far
on it.
as Platinum Arena 2, I feel like the recent patch, it got more balanced, I would say. Compared to this past week where it was like, everyone quit the game basically. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's more balanced after this recent patch. I don't know if anyone mentioned, but yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add, but yeah, I'd like to. Well, I'll let you guys. If you guys want to add anything else, so we can wrap this guy up, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything, guys?
Now you got me.
All right.
Work hard, play
I'm
safe.
good.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out with me today, as well as chat, guys. You guys have been awesome. I know we did not acknowledge a whole lot of what was going on in there, but at the same time, tried not to interrupt each other, kind of thing. But I do appreciate you guys being here with us today. We covered a lot of stuff, and I hope a lot of wishing as well. But only time will tell, and only patience. As always, guys, be patient with everything that you guys do. Or not with everything you do, but within this game. Well, no, that could also pertain to life. Just be patient, guys. Everything will come out. Give it some time, and of course, we will prevail. Yeah, we will prevail. Just hang in there, guys. I do have one announcement, which is basically the future development of this podcast. I am going to be basically assigning a permanent seat. I do have a particular person in mind. Don't know if they are in in chat right now, but I will reach out to them privately. But this person will be with me developing the podcast itself, along with everything else. So stay tuned for that, guys. Once again, if you guys enjoyed the content, please make sure to hit that like button, follow me on Twitch, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Peace, guys.